No, he's doing a good job. Kash.
Senator, off the top of my head, I can't, but let me just say this. Law enforcement is not supposed to be territorial. Law enforcement is not supposed to be a turf battle. Law enforcement is best done in this country when it is complementary, and it should have been done in that instance.
Do I have your commitment? Now, mind you, I'd like to enter into evidence the complaint that we filed against Merrick Garland, the complaint for declaratory and injunctive relief. This was a result of the FBI obstructing our investigation at every turn. Do I have your commitment?
Confirmation hearing for a figure as divisive as Kash Patel was never going to glide through the Senate like routine paperwork. But the moment newly appointed Senator Ashley Moody leaned into her microphone during the Senate Judiciary Committee hearing, the room shifted from political theatre into something far more serious. Moody, a Florida Republican with the sharp instincts of a former state attorney general, did not come in tossing soft questions or offering polite talking points. She went directly at the heart of the matter, pressing Patel on one of the darkest and most uncomfortable questions hanging over the country's security system. How did the FBI handle the investigations into the attempts on Donald Trump's life? And what went wrong inside the very agency now being handed to Trump's chosen reformer? Her line of questioning carried extra weight because Moody had already taken an aggressive role in Florida's own pursuit of charges connected to the second assassination attempt, so this was not just another senator trying to create a viral moment. She was laying out the job Patel would inherit in brutal detail. The exchange made one thing painfully clear. Patel was not simply being asked to shake up an old institution, punish the old guard, or bring a new political attitude into the Bureau. He was being forced in real time to face the hard, ugly, deeply specific responsibility of explaining how the 47th president came so close to being killed, while under the protection of the same federal system Patel now wants to lead.
And thank you for being here. I know this has been a long day. I am the junior most senator, so I go last. But ever since I got here, and it's been a whole week, I get told two things when I rush up to my fellow senators. Number one, are you Senator Britt? And number two, the Senate is a body that is deliberative and calm. And I'm anything but. So I don't know how the next couple of years is going to look, but I hope that they'll bear with me. Serving as the AG over the last 4 years, I've seen a lot of things out of these agencies that I never thought we'd see in the United States of America. I know my fellow attorneys general around the nation would agree with me. In fact, some of them are here today to support you. I'd love to introduce them if they'll stand up. The Attorney General from South Carolina, the former Utah Attorney General, Sean Reyes. I'm sorry, Alan Wilson, I didn't say your name, South Carolina AG. And Louisiana AG, Liz Merrill. They joined me. Thank you for being here. They joined me in signing on to a letter supporting your nomination. And we did that while I was still the Attorney General over a week ago. They came here today to support you. And Mr. Chairman, I know that you've been referencing a lot of letters that you've been entered into evidence. I'd like this to be entered into the record. Sorry, I'm talking like a trial lawyer. With consent, please, sir. This is signed by 24 states' attorneys general that support the nomination of Mr. Patel. One of the things that I have been most upset about is watching federal agencies take more and more and more power and step all over the dual sovereignty of state and local law enforcement and investigations and prosecutions. I know you, like me, served in both the state criminal justice system and the federal criminal justice system. I was a federal prosecutor, a state judge, and a state attorney general, and I know you crossed over those jurisdictions. Do I have your commitment as the director of the FBI that you will respect dual sovereignty of the federal government, the FBI, to pursue its investigations of federal laws, and respect local and state law enforcement pursuing violations of their own laws, even when there may be overlap of investigations?
Senator, not only do you have my commitment, if you may, for the first time ever, the National Sheriff's Association has endorsed the nominee to be the director of the FBI. 3,100 sheriff's deputies across the country have endorsed me. For one reason, I think, primarily, because I'm committed to local level law enforcement in state jurisdiction. Washington, D.C. cannot fix the problems of this country, but everyday cops can and do it every single day. And so if I'm confirmed as FBI director, we're going to work with local law enforcement because they're going to tell us what they need and we're going to give them everything we can. But we are not going to trample on local law enforcement because they're the ones keeping our communities safe just as much as anyone here.
The citizens of Florida will be happy to hear that, as well as Americans. As you know, after the second assassination attempt, which took place in the state of Florida, against a Florida resident, now President Donald Trump, many people were surprised that that could happen in just over 2 months. Many people were shocked that a would-be assassin could get that close to a president after it had just happened so quickly. So needless to say, many Americans, and certainly Floridians, demanded a transparent and accountable investigation of that second assassination attempt. I was tasked, along with law enforcement in Florida, to pursue that investigation. And every step of the way, federal law enforcement, the FBI specifically, and the attorneys, federal attorneys, frustrated our efforts, told us we couldn't go on the crime scene. They wouldn't share evidence. They suggested that we would be violating the law if we pursued our own investigation, even in the face of us telling them and informing them that a 6-year-old girl almost died as a result of state and local law enforcement having to shut down the roads to pursue that would-be assassin. And I'm not going to use his name. In an unprecedented action, because of these frustrated efforts, I, as the Attorney General of Florida, had to sue the DOJ and Merrick Garland because they refused and obstructed our ability to prosecute and investigate our own laws against one of our own citizens, even in the face of such distrust of the FBI, who was pursuing an investigation against the victim himself. So at a time when you have data that shows that Americans' trust in the FBI is at its lowest point in history, when the FBI is not trusted by local and state law enforcement, can you think of a better time for the FBI to say, yes, Florida, investigators, come in, let's work this together, not to the detriment of the investigation, but in a collaborative effort? Can you think of a better time to have done that rather than hide beside some law that they said prevented us from moving forward with our own investigation?
Senator, off the top of my head, I can't, but let me just say this. Law enforcement is not supposed to be territorial. Law enforcement is not supposed to be a turf battle. Law enforcement is best done in this country when it is complementary, and it should have been done in that instance.
Do I have your commitment? Now, mind you, I'd like to enter into evidence the complaint that we filed against Merrick Garland, the complaint for declaratory and injunctive relief. This was a result of the FBI obstructing our investigation at every turn. Do I have your commitment that as soon as you are confirmed, which I believe you will be, that you will address this suit, interface with the investigators and the lawyers in Florida, and begin cooperating with us so that we might pursue justice for that little girl?
Absolutely, Senator.
And I'll just finally end with, yes, I have had a lot of work experiences, as you have, working on the front lines with law enforcement to go after those violating laws. But I am also the wife of a law enforcement agent, federal, now local. We need somebody at the helm that understands the mission is to stand on that line between good and evil, between crime and chaos. There is no other mission. And we trust that you're going to right-size this agency and set it back on course. And I am proud to support you.
Thank you, Senator.
The fight around Kash Patel's FBI nomination quickly turned into something much bigger than one man trying to win enough votes, because Ashley Moody used that confirmation moment to drag a larger battle between Florida and Washington into the spotlight. As Florida's Attorney General, Moody had already taken aim at the Justice Department and then Attorney General Merrick Garland, accusing federal officials of blocking Florida's separate investigation into the attempted assassination of Donald Trump. That lawsuit turned the situation into a direct clash over power, trust and control, with Florida arguing that state investigators were being pushed aside at the very moment the public needed answers most. Moody's frustration was not framed as a small paperwork dispute or a routine disagreement between agencies. She presented it as proof of a deeper problem inside federal law enforcement, a culture where protecting territory seemed to matter more than working together to protect communities. That is what made her exchange with Patel so loaded. Patel responded by leaning into the idea that the FBI has to rebuild basic cooperation with local and state law enforcement, saying the Bureau should respect state authority instead of treating it like a rival. At the same time, he acknowledged serious concerns about the condition of America's intelligence and law enforcement institutions. So while Patel asked lawmakers to give him time and space to prove himself, Moody's message was not subtle at all. The next FBI leadership team would need to show, almost immediately, that the Bureau could move beyond the Garland-era fight over control and become a serious partner in justice again, not an agency trapped in political suspicion and bureaucratic turf wars.
Are you planning to replace Kash Patel as
No, he's doing a good job.
This week,
Kash Patel? No, he's doing a great job, I think.
This week we saw those cases against James Comey and Letitia James tossed out. Do you still have faith in Lindsay Halligan?
Oh, she's great. I think she's great. They got out on a technicality, and you'll see what happens from here on. But if you look at the actual charges, I think anybody that looks at it very fairly would say, boy, are they guilty. So let's see what happens over the next week. You know, the court didn't say you couldn't bring the case, re-bring the case, or appeal the case. So they have a lot of options. They're going to call the shot. I'm not calling the shot. But Lindsay's a very talented lawyer, actually.
Mr. President, on Venezuela, sir, are you planning to talk to Nicolas Maduro?
I might talk to him. We'll see, but we're discussing that with the different staffs. We might talk about Venezuela.
Interesting enough, the U.S. this week did, of course, name him the leader of a foreign terrorist organization. So why do you want to talk to him?
Say it again.
Maduro, the U.S.
Yeah, right.
designated him the leader of this foreign terrorist organization. Why do you want to talk to him if he's the leader?
If we can save lives, if we can do things the easy way, that's fine. And if we have to do it the hard way, that's fine too.
Mr. President, do you have any reaction? If you carry
I'm not going to tell you what the goal is. You should probably know what the goal is, but they've caused a lot of problems, and they've sent millions of people into our country. They were probably the biggest abuser with Tren de Aragua and all the others that they sent in, the drug dealers and drug lords, the people that they sent in, the jailbirds. They opened their jails and prisons and dumped them into the United States, and we're not happy about it.
Do you have any reaction to Mayor Bowser announcing she's not running for re-election in D.C.?
Well, I got along with her very well. I liked her. We worked together. D.C. is now a safe community. It's a great community. You people know it better than I do because you live there. But D.C. is now safe. The restaurants are booming. The place is booming. We have no crime. And we did that all in a period of 3 or 4 weeks and then made it better and better and better. And now we're setting new records. I mean, literally, it's as safe as there is anywhere in the country now. And if you go back a year, it was a very unsafe place. Before I got here, D.C. was a very unsafe, and it's our capital. We have to make it safe. We're doing really well in Memphis, Tennessee, and we're doing well in other places. The one that is really troubling is what's happening in Chicago. The crime, it's a potentially great city again, but the governor's totally lost control. That's where you had the young lady burned. It's where you had a lot of killings over the last very short period of time. Killings. The governor has totally lost